Hello guys, and welcome to the first of a series of videos where we will be detailing all of the commands and techniques necessary for completing Programming 1. In this particular video, we're going to be going over what a compiler is, several of the basic actions that you'll need to know in our compiler that we're going to be using, Blitz, as well as all of the commands and techniques that you will need to know in order to complete Unit 1. Now first, as far as what a compiler is a piece of software that is going to allow for us to take our code and convert that into actions. So the compiler that we are using for this Programming 1 class is going to be known as Blitz 3D. When we open up Blitz 3D, we're greeted with a opening screen like you would see right here in front of you. To start a new program in Blitz, you're going to click on this blank page up here, just like you would in most other programs. And you'll notice that up top here it creates a new tab called Untitled. The first thing that we're going to want to do after we've created a new program is save the program. You do so by clicking on the little save icon here. And it's important that you guys save this in the correct location. You guys should always scroll down under the My Computer section to find your network location or your flash drive. From there, you should have a folder called Programming. Inside that Programming folder, you should have a Unit 1 folder where we will save all of our Unit 1 programs. The format with which we save our programs is very important. Because we are going to be creating almost 50 programs throughout the semester, it's important that we have the ability to recognize which programs correspond with which problems in a very quick and timely manner. To do so, we're going to start off with our initials. So for me, I would start off with JK, followed by U1, P1. Now the significance of this U1, P1 here is that this is going to be for Unit 1, Problem 1. After I've done this, I'll click Save, and you'll notice that my tab has been renamed to correspond with this particular program. After I've saved my program, I'm going to start by creating a header. Now a header is comprised of 3 comments. Comments are something that a compiler completely ignores, but are left there by programmers to help organize their thoughts or pass on additional information to other programmers. To start a comment, we're going to insert a semicolon. And the 3 comments that we are going to use to comprise our header are always going to include our name, the programming that we are in, and the unit and problem we are completing. For this instance, Unit 1, Problem 1. Now, if you're like Mr. Keller and you want to have your text be a little bit larger in order to make it more easily visible, hold the Control key down and roll your scroll wheel forward to get a slightly larger text. After we've created our header, it's important that we create a graphics menu. Now the graphics is going to declare what the output size and color mode for our program will be. As we start typing, you'll notice that graphics is in white. As I hit the space bar, it converts to a light blue and gets capitalized. This is Blitz's way of signifying that we have entered in the command. After this command graphics, I'm going to declare the width of my graphics menu, which should be set to 800, as well as the height, which should be set to 600, and a color depth, which in this case should be 16, signifying that we are going to be using 16-bit color mode. Now, after we've created a graphics window, we're going to want to put something in that graphics. So the first thing we can do is print information to the screen. We do so using the print command. As you'll notice, my command text goes from white to light blue as I have entered in a command. Now if I try to print simply my name, I will get myself an error saying function Keller not found. This is because when Blitz sees stuff in white, that's its way of communicating to you that it is looking for a variable. In order to print information and not variables, we need to put quotations around the information which we want to print. Now if I run this program, we can clearly see the information that we had wanted printed up at the top right corner. In order to create a larger bit of information, I'm going to need to load a different font. To load a different font, we need to first be after our graphics menu, but before we go to print our information. We declare this new font, which is going to be a variable, to hold information using the load font command. In the load font command, we are going to declare which font it is that we are looking. There are a variety of fonts that Blitz supports, however not all are actually supported, so you'll have to try and find a font that Blitz is comfortable with. After we've loaded up the font, we'll hit a comma and then declare the size with which we want to have our font. The default size is around 12, so if you want a larger font, use a larger number. Smaller font, use a smaller number. We'll use 20 for now. And then there are a couple other optional tags with which we can enter. The first being bold, which we would signify with a true or a false. Italic, again, a true, false, and underlined. Now that I've loaded new font into the program and stored this information into it, I need to tell Blitz that I want to use new font for my set font. So to declare this font, I'm going to say set font, new font. Now when running my program, I see Comic Sans in size 20 font, and it is in bold, just as my font is declared. If I want to make this larger yet, I can use a larger number, and again, have my font. Now this little box right here that the dialog box pops up can be quite annoying. Let's get rid of that next. At the very end of our program, we will want to install what's known as a wait key and an N. The wait key does just as it is implied, where when Blitz's compiler gets to this point in the code, it is going to wait for a key input. After a key input, it will then end the program. As you see, my program runs, and when I hit any key on the keyboard, it closes out. So this details the font action as well as the print command. Now print command is very nice for simply putting basic text onto the screen. Another similar command to that would be the write command. And whereas the print command created separate lines for each of our texts, the write command will keep all of our text on a single line. Each command is useful in their own right. Certain situations will dictate the usage of the print command versus the write command. It's your job to understand both of these commands and where they are both helpful. Putting information in places other than the top left corner will sometimes arise when you are programming in this class. For that command, you're going to need to know the text command. Text requires that we declare both a location as well as the information that we want to put on here. If I would locate at 100, 100, as well as 200, 200, we can see a couple of options here. Now, it's important to note that this 100, 100 is in reference from the top left corner. When Blitz is declaring a graphics, the top left corner is always going to be the origin. We will then have our graphics width and our height. So when we say that we want to go to 100, 100, we are moving over 100 pixels and down 100 pixels. To get to 200, 200, we are going over 200 pixels and down 200 pixels. Simply texting information to the screen can be very helpful. However, many times we will want to also draw lines. To draw a line, you simply need to use the line command. The line command requires two bits of information. First, our start point and our end point. When we start, we need to give it both an X and Y value. And just like with our text command, those are based off of the origin being in the top left corner. To draw a line from the top left corner to the bottom right corner, I'm going to insert my origin and then go to my maximum values, 800 and 600. To create a line coming from the top right corner down to the bottom left, I would use 800, 0 and go to 0, 600. To create a vertical line going through the center of the screen, I would split my maximum width and I would go from 400, 0 to 400, 600. And to create a horizontal line coming across the middle of the screen, but leaving the first 100 pixels and the last 100 pixels, I would first start at 100, 300, and continue over to 700, 300. One thing to note when we are creating horizontal lines, our Y values never do change. And when we are creating vertical lines, our X values never change. Drawing lines can be a lot of fun. However, we can save a lot of time when we are wanting to draw a larger chunk of information by using the rectangle command. Rectangle gets shortened in Blitz to simply rect when we are using the rectangle command. The rectangle command is similar to the line command in that we need to declare a start point. However, differing from the line command, the rectangle command does not have an endpoint, but rather a width and a height. So if I want to create a rectangle in the middle of the screen, I'm going to declare a start point, give it a width, as well as a height. That will create a 200 by 200 pixel box right in the middle of my screen, starting at 300, 200. Going over 200 pixels and down 200 pixels. To make this box hollow, I can simply press comma and 0, and I will now have a hollowed out box. Drawing in black and white can be boring after a while, so let's insert some color into this. Color command will require 3 different numbers after this. Those numbers correspond with the RGB values, or red, green, and blue values, and will vary between 0 and 255. To get pure red, we would put 255, 0, 0, which would give us pure red, 0 green, and 0 blue. When we do this, it's clearly illustrated then that the rectangle has been drawn on top of all of our other information. This is because Blitz is going to work chronologically down the code, doing these things in order. So as you are drawing things on the screen, it's important to keep track of your draw order. If I wanted to get my text information to come back before or on top of the rectangle, I need to move that after the rectangle is drawn. Doing this will illustrate another important thing in Blitz, that colors hold through until another color has been called. If I want my senior high to be visible, I need to change the color to be something other than the red from the red rectangle behind it. When trying to find colors other than white, black, green, blue, or red, it can be often difficult to figure out the exact RGB values. To help yourself out, open up Paint and come to the Edit Colors menu. From there, you can create whichever color it is that you are looking for, and you'll note that Paint has the red, green, and blue values associated with that. It would only be fitting that senior high be an orange, so if we take this 238 red, 109 green, and 23 blue, and put those into here, we get an orange senior high. That should conclude all the information necessary for completing all of the programs for problem 1. Please feel free to review and rewind and rewatch this video as many times as necessary. And remember to save your programs under their own individual files in your Unit 1 folder. Thanks for watching and good luck programming.